So the other day we put up a video about Tyree Nichols and the police beating, the police killing of this black guy at the hands of other black police officers. And I said things in that video that I stand by, and people took exception to it. Now, not really people in the comment section. A lot of the people in the comment section were pretty much on our side. Like it's on those black police officers. They have to be accountable for their behavior. When I put that video up, some people I know, not too well, but some people I know took exception to me saying that it was not white supremacy and white supremacy did not play a role in this. And to me, these people their comments came across to me as racist. And it also came across like they didn't want to accept accountability. One thing that really pisses me off one thing that has pissed me off with this killing is, first of all, it hasn't been publicized to the level that the George Floyd killing was. And again, the George Floyd thing, there's a lot of debate about how he died. I'm not going to get into all of that. I don't know all the ins and outs of it. But there's no debate about how this guy died. He was beaten to death on camera by black police officers in a state that is, to my knowledge, predominantly black, in a police force that is predominantly black. The leader of that police force is also black. I said these things saying that it's not white supremacy, the same way that Zuby said that it was not white supremacy, that this was solely thugs beating another black man, the same way we get black on black violence in the streets out here and you guys get it in the streets in America. I'm not going to take back any of my comments despite how people might feel about it. When a white police officer kills a black man, it's wrong. And the responsibility and the accountability is on the white police officer. When there are black police officers killing anybody, it doesn't change. We don't start saying, oh, they have internalized racism. Oh, it's the white machine. It's white supremacy. The lack of accountability from people that think like that are why we find ourselves in so many problems. The sooner people start accepting that there are problems in all communities and you can't just point the blame at white people all the time, it doesn't help anyone. It makes no sense. And this argument continued to spiral. And they were saying stuff like, oh, white people are the cause of this. White people are the cause of that. They were talking about wars and invasions. And I know for a fact these people don't know jack shit about history from the way they were talking. Yeah, white people did go about colonizing the planet. But guess what? If you pick up a history book, or if you even look at YouTube channels that cover history, they cover tons and tons and tons of wars fought all over the world by different groups of people. Not just English and not just the people that migrated to America. Wars have been fought everywhere and people have taken over land and done heinous things to other communities regardless of skin color. That is the story of human history. It is drenched in blood. So when people start saying to me that white people are the worst, white people are this, white people are that, they are just echoing things they heard on CNN. They don't actually even know what they're talking about. Because if you go and ask a Chinese person what they think about Japanese people, Japan invaded China in 1937. Or their invasion was in full swing in 1937. The Greeks and the Turks had a war. The Greeks committed heinous crimes against Turkish people, and the Turkish people retaliated. They had a massive war. Those things all happened around the First and Second World War. It wasn't just the First and Second World War that was fought by white people destroying the planet. There were wars going on all around the planet, in all sections of the earth. I'm pretty sure there was a small war between Turkey and Italy. There was the Irish War. There were wars in Africa. There are wars everywhere. People do shitty things to each other. So just saying it's white people this and white people that, it's a tired and boring argument, or it's a tired and boring conversation when you acknowledge the fact that throughout all human history, all types of people have been conquerors and all types of people have persecuted and done all sorts of disgusting things to other types of people. Like, I'm half Greek, and I don't know if you know anything about the Greek and Turkish War, but not to go into all of it, there's a really great documentary on a channel called The Great War that covers the war between the Greeks and the Turks. And it wasn't, a lot of people have this idea for some reason that the war was started by a woman, that this guy loved this woman and it spiraled out of control and that's why Turks and Greeks were fighting. That is so dumb. That's not why Turks and Greeks started fighting. It was about nationalism, and it was about people once again trying to invade and conquer. Now, the Greeks failed this time. that was the last time the Greeks were ever considered great in terms of like an empire. Because for a long time, the Greeks were conquerors. They were going around destroying things. That's why we got the movie 300. That's not just some like shit made up in Hollywood. Yeah, they dramatized things. There's monsters in that film, but the Greeks were conquerors and they were doing disgusting things to people. I can say that as a Greek person. And when they invaded Turkey, they did disgusting things to those Turkish people. And the same with the Turks. When the Turks fought back, they did crazy shit back to the Greeks. It has happened all throughout human history. So the point that I'm getting at here is that they demonize white people for everything. But then when other people do things, they also blame white people for it. And it's no different with this Tyree Nichols killing. These police officers were thugs. They hired thugs. That's what happened. The Memphis police force hired thugs. Now, I don't know how many police officers in the Memphis police force are not doing their jobs correctly. I don't live in America. I've never been to Memphis. I'm not going to proclaim to know. But what I do know is those black guys were thugs. They shouldn't have been wearing the uniform. They weren't protecting and serving. They were beating a man to death by abusing their power on camera. It's caught in two angles. There's not a white person in sight, and they're in a very black state. So for all the people that were getting angry at me saying, "Oh, you know, I'm a sympathizer," or I'm dismissing the idea that there's such thing as internalized racism or white supremacy doesn't exist, I never said any of those things. At no point did I say white supremacy don't exist. Did you hear those words come out of my mouth? But I can also look at a situation and be like, yeah, this is just the fault of some idiots. They happen to be black. They beat this man to death. Now, I read some of the comments on our videos, and I heard people saying that the guy, Tyree Nichols, I don't want to put conspiracies out there. I'm not saying he did this. Someone in the comment section said that Tyree Nichols might have slept with one of their wives. I don't know how true that is. Apparently that story is being buried in America. This is according to somebody in the comment section. And they were saying, don't you think it's very convenient that 5 black police officers were there to beat this man to death? Now, I'm not saying that this is what happened. I'm not trying to throw conspiracies out there. What I'm saying is that that woman on the Piers Morgan show wanted to assume that it was internalized racism that these black men were exercising on this black guy. But what sounds more plausible? That they actually had a vendetta against this guy for something he might have done? Because it doesn't sound believable that he was speeding and then they decided to whoop his ass to death.
Yeah.
Doesn't it make more sense that maybe they had a vendetta against him? The same way that we see black teenagers killing black teenagers over postcodes and area codes and blocks and wearing different color uniform. It's not white supremacy. The sooner people start taking accountability for their behavior, the same way we had that conversation about women walking through parks at 2 a.m. and then complaining, say, "Oh, why can't we do this?" You can't do this because you live on Earth. Welcome to reality. That's what happens here. The sooner people take accountability for their behavior, the sooner people understand that not everything can be pointed at a man or not everything can be pointed at white supremacy, the easier things are going to be. The easier things will be to digest. But the black people that were coming at me, and like I said, nobody in our comment section, everybody in the comment section, you know, they were talking sense. They were debating like the George Floyd thing. That's all fun. I'm happy to have those conversations, but I'm not going to take you seriously if you think that I am some sort of white supremacist sympathizer because I'm pointing out that a bunch of thugs beat an innocent black man to death. And I say innocent because you're innocent till proven guilty, right? We don't know what he did. They beat him to death. They're supposed to take him in if he's done something. Now, if he was sleeping with one of their wives, that sounds like a vendetta to me. Again, I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've been reading. That's all I really want to say about it. It's just this whole like not taking accountability thing is just mind-boggling to me. Anything you want to add?
No, this was Michael's little rant time. So
yeah, I'm tired of people.
I
could not believe that people were on the news talking about white supremacy. It's not only it's just a lie, it's disingenuous. It is also kind of racist towards black people. It's like saying you have no agency over your behavior, no accountability. It's this phantom white supremacist shadow lurking in the corner in all these institutions that just possesses you to do these shitty things, when really some people are just dickheads. Some people are just pricks and they do terrible things to people. It's no different than when there are thugs on the streets doing it. And it's no different when they're wearing police uniform. Makes no difference. People do shitty things. That was black on black violence, and people need to digest that and accept it.